So we're going to start with the toes and the ankles. So we're going to start with the bottoms of the toes, the bottoms of the feet, and the ankles. You can use your hands for support if you need to, or you can just use your upper body to counterbalance as your knees come down and touch the mat. But we're both stretching and strengthening the toes. And now we're doing the opposite. We're stretching and strengthening the top of the ankle and the front of the toes. Throughout all these movements, we're not just stretching, but we're keeping the muscles that we're stretching active, right? So this is an active mobility technique. Right, so for each of these, do between 5 to 10 repetitions. This one, we're squatting down. If your heels are down all the way, that's great. If not, you can put something behind them, a rolled up sock or a washcloth, so that way your heels can be relaxed. But notice I'm pressing my knees out, but I'm not just stretching. I'm keeping the inner thigh muscles and the groin muscles active. So again, this is an active mobility. I'm kind of pushing against resistance, using a little bit of eccentric to warm the muscles up and to actually create change in the length of the muscles. Now this one's a little bit more complex. Here, what I'm doing is I'm internally rotating my thigh. So I'm trying to get my knee close to the mat and the ankle high, and then pressing back. So my knee comes down, internally rotate the thigh, knee comes down, ankle high. In the beginning, you might not be able to get this knee down, ankle up. It might actually just be your ankle and knee are sliding on the floor, and that's okay too. Again, do between 5 and 10 repetitions on either side. This movement is called a shin box. The tendency is going to be to want to turn the torso to the side or towards the back leg. What we want to do is we want to try to keep the torso as over the front knee as much as possible. It's not going to be 100% possible, but do it as much as possible, as close as you can. And the other key is to slowly lower down. Give yourself about 2 to 3, 4 seconds on the lowering portion. Now we're going to do multi-joint. So I want to bring the ankles close together. It's a slow eccentric down, press up. Slow eccentric down, press up. So we're getting in this case, my right ankle in extension, my left ankle in flexion, hips and knees. And notice I'm allowing my knee to track well in front of my toes. I'm not trying to keep it back. And this will actually help to create flexibility, durability of the knee cartilage, tendons. Now we're going to do a Romanian deadlift, but without any weights. So keeping the back relatively straight. Knees can be slightly bent, slow down, and explode up a little bit, pressing the hips forward. As you can notice, with all these movements, we're not really focused on gaining strength as much as we're focused on gaining active mobility. And then now we go into the passive mobility portion. So this is called the couch stretch. If you don't have a box, you can literally just use the couch. In the beginning, I'm exploring the range of motion. So this is obviously stretching the front of my right thigh. That's the one that has the knee down. And once I find that the edge, the natural edge of my range of motion, where it's not painful, but it's challenging, then I'm going to tuck the tailbone underneath, and I'm going to slowly drive the knee forward. So I'm motioning down with my hand. The tailbone is tucking underneath. And my knee is tracking forward. Same thing here. Pulse a few times to find the range of motion. Once you find the edge of that range of motion where it's not painful, but it's challenging, and tuck the tailbone underneath and drive forward with the knee that's up. If you want to create a little bit more of a challenge on the leg that's being stretched, you can actually push the foot into the block or into the couch. You can also do this up against a wall. And now here we're going to stretch the external rotators of the hip muscles, the gluteal muscles, and the low back. So again, pulse a few times. And once you find that range of motion that feels good, just hold it there. We're going to hold the stretch for anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute and 30 seconds. Is up to you. And then switch sides. So again, pulse, explore the range of motion, see where you're tight. You can even try different angles to the right or to the left. And once you find that spot where you need to work, then just hold it. Be sure to breathe during this time. That's really critical. Using a slow inhale and a slower exhale to communicate to the nervous system to relax the body. Again, holding this from between 30 seconds to a minute and 30 seconds. Okay, so now we're going to do a deep spinal twist. So I'm twisting toward the side that my knee is down on the side of, on the thigh. Notice also that I have a slight curvature, downward curvature to my back, keeping that natural curve of the spine rather than it being humped up. And I actually actively maintaining the natural lordosis or lower curvature of the spine. And here, the way to make it deeper isn't to twist even more, but it's to inhale deeper into your ribs. If your hips are really tight, you can actually do this seated up against a wall or a couch. If your hips aren't overly tight, you can just reach for your toes and then use your arm to create a little bit of resistance downward, a little bit of pressure downward, not too much. The name of the game for flexibility and mobility is patience. And again, all these things, all these movements for passive, you can hold for 30 seconds to a minute and 30 seconds. And now we're going to do a full forward bend, nice spinal flexion. So first I grab the outside of my legs to get that nice relationship between the hamstrings and the lower back. And then I bring in the calves. by grabbing the undersides of my feet, undersides of my toes, and literally peeling them back. So that way I feel a stretch from the bottoms of my feet all the way to the back of my neck. And again, breathing here, in and out, nice and slow. All right, that's it.